Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, I'm not used to these sitting side by side podcasts.
It almost feels like we're going live now on the podcast. I'm kind of worried about what I'm going to say over the next 30, 40, 50 minutes. However
I'm
long
worried
we
about
decide
what you're going to say about me in the next 30, 40, 50 minutes.
That's a lot. I got a lot of info to say about you after last night with a few drinks. But we are coming to you from the H10 Casanova Hotel. Very nice hotel. We're here for the second year running for the Barcelona Marathon on a Monday afternoon. Well, Monday morning still pretty much, but that's why the episode didn't go out this morning, because we weren't fit to do an episode yesterday evening.
No, yeah, it was a late one and it was good fun. You can probably hear from the voices. It was a good night that ensued as well, but it's all in all a good trip. The sun is back shining. It was miserable on Saturday, but actually worked out really well.
Yeah, talking about Saturday, going down to the Expo and all the rest, and lawless, lackluster event.
Lackluster tours, yeah. Yeah, look, it was good. We rain all day Saturday, which in a way was good because it was kind of mandatory rest for everyone, because when you come on a trip abroad, the thing is you kind of want to see the place, but the rain was torrential, so it kind of kept everyone confined to the hotel and nearby.
It was a great Saturday last year. I think Neve had me doing 20, 25,000 steps at the end of it, going to see the Skyway trams or whatever they're called around here, and all sorts around Barcelona. So it was lashing rain. Like, it was so heavy. It's like, I didn't feel bad for the staying at the hotel. It was great after
it
the
gave
Expo.
you the excuse, and we knew the weather was going to be good for the morning of race day, and it did provide. It was a fantastic morning. It was great to have some of the group who were back with us from the year before.
Yeah.
And as well for the new people coming in, it was so much fun. And watching how they bonded over the couple of days, and then of course we got into marathon. Oh, sorry, the Expo was.
Talk
good
about the
as well.
Expo first, because we have to talk about trying on the we're not sponsored by them, by the Hoka Super Shoes, because that's a bit of foreshadowing how your marathon went the next day. So
so trying on it. Well, I followed you and Jamie, and I was like, where are these two shitbags gone? It was like trying to herd cats to get them back to the hotel. But we got to the Expo early, and what I will say to anyone is never take the lie on. Get to the Expo as it opens. In the 40 minutes we were in the Expo, by the time we got out, the queue to get in was over a kilometre long. Now, it moved, and we had someone who did end up being late, and it took an hour to get through and get all their stuff. But 32,000 competitors collecting race numbers is what it is.
It's going to happen, yeah, absolutely.
But if very efficient, we will say as well, given the quantity of people showing up to it. The Expo itself, I have to say, was absolutely fantastic. Hoka were the sponsors, but the way they had it done out was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like bib numbers this way, and you walked into the Hoka shop, and that was it. You were in the merch store the whole way through before you even got to nowhere near where the bib was. But I have to say, it was nicely done, and they were the T-shirts for the marathon this year was fantastic. And I'm just glad you collect the finisher T-shirt for the race, and we'll get into that later. But it was absolutely it was really well done. You know, wasn't the largest Expo, but it was done really well.
Yeah, you had a little bit of everything there.
Yeah.
But so when we left the Expo and we saw the big trailer thing beside the Hokas and the new carbon ones, and also me and Jamie, we go in. Next thing you know, we're 1 foot in the door. I was like, Ash, we'll try this out. And they had their new, I can't even pronounce it, so I'm going to call them canoe runners.
CO or CILO.
CIE
1.30 or something like that they're called. The new carbon shoes. I think they're retailing at €270.
275.
270, and every fiver counts, as you know from the last marathon registration. But I was watching the lads, and they had the iPad. Seán was in his running chinos, and Jamie, and I was looking at them running. But the iPad, you know, when you go and I think it could have been the Run Hub was the first place I've seen this, where they take a recording and they watch how this goes. But basically, through the use of AI tech, everything else, computer software, the computer is doing this for you. And it was absolutely amazing to see the angles it was getting from your body at certain points, to see how you were adapting to the shoe, reacting to the shoe, and how your running form was. And then once it highlighted all of your flaws, it then gave you exercises to rectify that, to get your running form into that close to 100%, they were calling it.
Well, my running form's not all that great, but it gave me an overall 71 out of 100, but no real kind of like standout red flags. And then just because I'm competitive and stuff, like a lot of this running form isn't great. Hop on that treadmill there, Eric, so I could beat you in something, because I was nervous about the Sunday. And then you hopped on the treadmill and you're just gliding along on it.
Yeah, I have to say, the shoe, like, I never felt like I have felt, those the kind of they're treadmills that are used in a lot of CrossFit gyms as well. They're basically self-propelled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you've ever ran on one of them, you feel like you can't slow down, and you actually feel like you keep speeding up. It feels like perpetual motion, and gets faster exponentially. Running in these shoes on the treadmill, I think I set the treadmill up at a 4-minute K, thinking, all right, this is almost
Yeah.
high level effort for me. I kept running into the treadmill. I was like, oh my God, went to a 340. I was running into the treadmill again. I was like, this is terrifying. And I just felt like the shoe was dragging me forward.
Yeah, same.
It was like, I'm not telling people go and buy them, because even
No.
me, I'd stop short of the value for money element. But my God, I've never, if I was up there, if I was running at a higher level and I was chasing something big, a qualification for something, I'd be like, I'm looking at this,
Yeah.
because I just could not believe the it was like I'd no choice. I just was being dragged forward.
All my stuff going on the last couple months, I haven't done intervals at all. So hitting 340 and that, I'm like, I felt like I was running a 5-minute pace at 340. I was just
Yeah.
being bounced forward.
Yeah.
I was only on it for 3-4 minutes, so I wasn't on that long, but I felt so comfortable getting off it. And I was like, had it been a little bit more reasonable price, I probably would have bought them and ran it the next day. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to say reasonable price, but just where I'm at right now, trying to throw out €275 for us, can't justify that. Just too much. No, absolutely not.
But the big one was, as you said, it was a competition, as it always is between me and you. And you got a score of 71 or by 70 or something low and useless. And then
that's right.
so I got up and I was looking at the aftermath, obviously, and it was like 90 something on this, 90 something on that. I had like Olympic standard running form until it came to my left knee, which had a score of 17%.
17.
So had I got that even in a normal range, and even the guys in Hoka, and you won't, I'm not
they were
laughing.
blowing smoke up you, saying,
They
"Oh,
were
that's
like,
the highest one I've
that is
seen
the
today."
highest one we've seen all weekend. And I was like, what? But that's 17. And I was like, yeah, there's something not right there, but maybe it's a glitch, and maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So had I have had a decent left knee, I probably would have had a pretty good running form, which is something you would have never
No.
said for me.
I threw you on it because I seen how you ran at Nice, and I was like, "Oh, his hips look like he's struggling." You told me you weren't struggling. I'm like, your upper body says you're grand, your lower body, I'm like, he looks like he's in a bad way. So when I saw you jump on that, and I was like, it's gonna highlight something. I thought it was gonna be the hips, and then it was the knee, and then everything else was so high. And then I'm like, he's 17 out of 100. How is he overall better than me when he has one major red flag?
Yeah, it just
That's like a
shows,
driving test, and then I do
just shows good, yeah.
reversing into the lamppost, but everything else was perfect. Your 3-point turns. That's still a fail in my book.
Yeah, it was just another sign of a wasted potential. But yeah, no, look, it was, we thought nothing of it, and I thought it was just the shoes because I kept bumping into the treadmill, and we thought nothing of it. But anyway, the rest of the day, then we got people back to ShakeOut run. It was a very wet ShakeOut run, and I did advise.
You did?
I did advise to not do the ShakeOut run. There was a treadmill upstairs. I told them all to go up and take 5 minutes each and
Tag in, tag out.
tag out on the treadmill instead of going out and that. But in fairness to the 12 idiots, they went out and they got a lap in and came back in like drowned rats while we were wearing Hoka sunglasses, standing in the lobby waiting on them.
That's the one thing we got free from the boys after that day, trying out their runner. So that was pretty cool. I've got to wear mine the next day then.
But yeah, it was good. Good evening, and everyone. The only part of my training that's been consistent was carb loading, and I think I proved that to everyone on the Saturday that I know how to eat. So it was really good, and then everyone, the beauty about traveling away, and what can probably surprise people traveling with us, we understand that you're here with either a loved one, supporter, friend. You're here on your own, so you're mingling with the group, but everyone has a different way of preparing. Everyone has a different food they like to eat. And what we do here is, once we get through the important bits of me making sure everyone has a race number, getting them all back to the hotel, it's very much a case of, we're here as a group if you need us, but it's all you. The bats are in the You have a bath in your room. You have this. You have that. I highlight all the restaurants. People tip out and do whatever it is they want to do. If they want to go do any tours, they can do the tours. And it's just at that point from the Saturday, it's chill out time. We did go and watch the rugby, in fairness, which was great. We had most of the group down there. So picking it is nice to have the Six Nations on because it's prescribed sitting,
Yeah.
and we're in there. You're in an environment where there's food and cokes and everything. You can keep the sugars coming in. You can keep nibbling. So yeah, it was a really, really nice afternoon, and a very relaxed evening until the France match, which kept me up later than I'd like to admit. But it was, I think, from the Saturday into the Sunday morning, everyone was pretty relaxed.
Everyone seemed pretty chill. I stayed away from the bar because I can't be in a bar all day watching a sport I don't care about and not drink a few pints. So I was like,
Well, we
it's
did
probably
have
best to
zero
get it out there.
zeros.
You know what? The zeros. I said this to someone yesterday morning about that, or Saturday morning. I've had nights where I've just had 0 zeros, and my head has felt just as bad or worse the next day. I feel dehydrated and stuff on it. I was like, I may as well have drank and had a good time. Not that you need to drink to have a good
No, we
time,
only
but
had the one zero bottle, just to stave off the craving.
I was so relaxed about this and not even thinking about the marathon until Saturday night. And I went to go to bed. And the only thing that was racing was my mind. And I was like, okay, Sunday morning is race day. And talking to everyone Sunday morning, it was like, everyone felt the same way. They're like, we'll see what happens. And then Saturday night, everyone had a horrible sleep, it seemed. And I was like, right, race day Sunday. But we had learned our lesson from last year.
Yeah, so this year it was like we knew about like there's naivety there and backdrop and distance and everything else and we did advise people that temperatures are going to be coming up, so the rain had stopped. Temperatures were, I think, about 9 degrees for starting, which was actually lovely. It was cool enough. And you were in the shade for the first half of the race, and we'll get into it. But we knew it was going to be 16, 17, 18 degrees when it was finished. So there was no need for a backdrop as such, unless you wanted a phone or we'd enough people to carry things. The hotel was so close. You didn't need all of those things. So we left the lobby at 8:32. We walked 8 minutes to the start line.
Yep.
And we got a little bit lost, as in we walked straight. And then you see kind of crowds and people are just standing around, but we were kind of shuffling forward. And little did we know, we were in a wave and the Barcelona song was, oh, what a song, by the way.
Yeah.
They'd live music from two kind of operatic singers and a choir singing Barcelona, and they had the build-up music. So we thought we were just, making our way to the start line. We didn't know we were at the start line, even though we did.
We had an idea. Yeah, we had an idea.
We did, but we were just like, are we really in the wave? So 12 minutes.
Poor Tara, his very first marathon. He's jumping up to wave 2 of 8.
He's in wave 2, us, the Kenyans, and every other elite. It was the only time I was glad I had Vaporflies on because I blended in. But it was unbelievable. We were like from 12 minutes from the hotel lobby to crossing the start line in the marathon. It was absolutely amazing. So yeah, but it was fantastic. But again, everyone had a different start time, a different wave time.
People treat races differently.
Yeah, they treat races
under their own head and stuff like that. Some were up a little bit earlier for breakfast, and I was up a few of them. They just kind of need to get into the zone, kind of thing. Some people have to be down there like an hour and stuff beforehand. Make sure
soak up the atmosphere.
Soak up the atmosphere, settle their nerves before the start of the race. Some need to leave it to the last minute because they don't want to overthink it. Some need to get their good long warm-ups in. So it's just everyone kind of did their own thing that morning. There was no pressure. And I was like, look, whatever's best way for you to prepare for a marathon, that's what you do. And of course, me and you just rock on up and see what happens.
And just me. I think I got dressed at 20 past and I was down here at 25 past and my pockets full of sweets. And I was like, right, off we go. But yeah, look, it was good. And I think people were quite shocked with how close we were to the start line. And
it is great that way. And the start, like you said, I know you already said already with the Barcelona, the song and all the rest, but the choir on each side and the hype up music before that, and just the sound of it. And like, even though everything is like, there's a big massive square, when you lead down that street, just whatever way the acoustics of it is, it's just, you hear and feel
it's like a stadium concert.
Exactly. You just feel it before you start. The camera's not going everywhere. It's like, okay.
You can't help but be excited.
No, you can't.
Because for the 12 hours before, 24, whatever way it is, the nerves are building because there's a marathon in front of me. There's even if you're relaxed or not relaxed, you still know there's a marathon to be done here. But
Yeah.
in those 10 minutes, it's
It's
like,
deadly.
here we go. This is
Yeah.
what it's all about.
You're just
And
there
that's
to
when
enjoy it.
nerves turns into excitement, and it's absolutely amazing in that way.
Yeah, I know it was absolutely brilliant. But then that also brings its usual kind of, I'm soaking this in too much. I'm going to take off too hot when the start line goes. I'm like, right, Seán, maybe go for a 5:30 pace and just see how long you hang on before the wheels fall off. And of course, Seán takes off at a 5:07 for the first kilometer. I'm like, here we go
Is
again.
that what you did?
I did 5:07 at first. I had a look at the
Because
Strava.
I was looking back at my paces, and I was pretty matched to what you said last night. And I was like, how did I not see him? But obviously, the first K was the one that did the damage.
Yeah, I jumped off a little bit ahead. I remember over a kilometer in, I looked over Munro and I was like, I shouldn't be beside him. Here we go again. It was like last year in Swords. All the lads come up to me and being like, what are you doing up here? I'm like, I don't know. But I told everyone all weekend, it's like, I can't help it. You're in a race, you're in a marathon. So I'm like, do I just take it easy the whole way through? Or do I aim for something to see what happens? So look, sub 4, I need to get 5:30. And then I took off hot and I was like, right. I pulled back a bit because I knew I hadn't got the legs. So I ended up going from a 5:07 down to a 5:20, 5:30. And every turn was just a little look back. Whereas that lawless lad is he on the way. But I had awful time with the first. I'd stopped 3 times the first 17K and twice to go for a long toilet break. I had way too much water again in me. And what they should have in Dublin is the 4 kind of urinals.
Urinals.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you could just, it's just space and just getting there rather than being. Now, there was a lot of people going in the streets and all the rest, but with the amount of kids and stuff there, I was like, no, not doing that. But urinals in, and I made sure I was facing back towards the race. So I would see you coming. I was like, I'm stopping to keep running. I'm not letting you catch me because I was nervous. I was feeling the pressure.
Yeah, well, the first 10K for me, I settled into a nice pace and I kept that pace and I was very comfortable. I had carb loaded and ate so well. I was just feeling heavy in the stomach. I was like, there's a lot of food in here. Because I don't usually like to run with a full stomach. I actually would end up doing a lot fasted, actually. I just like to feel that way, but I know that pays dividends in the latter stages of the race. And I was just kept telling myself, like 5K, I was tasting chicken wings and everything else that I was eating that morning. And I was like, just relax. After 10K, after 12K, we'll settle in. It'll be okay. And I couldn't see you as I was on my own, actually, because I was at the back of this elite wave.
You got to mention what happened to 4K?
Am I allowed to
I don't know if you're allowed to mention it.
Anyway, it's probably not. I don't know if
Maybe
it is
skip
good.
4 to 3 minutes if you're unsure.
Yeah, well, look, it was coming 4K, and again, I was on my own because even though I was at a 5:45 pace, I was at the back of an elite.
Yeah.
The reason we skipped ahead was 1, a mistake, and 2, it was planned to be very hot in the afternoon. So to get ahead of that as much as we could, being Irish, and now I know for you guys, I was actually loving the heat. That's why I was like, I might catch Seán here.
Yeah.
But for the rest of you guys I think the highest temperature we had in 60 days was 11 degrees. So to go from that to 17 and sunshine would have been a lot for everyone. So we did advise people, if possible, because the waves, there is so many people, and in fairness to them, and it was with people can say what they want, but they were very fair as long as you didn't interfere with the elites or those who were seeking, I would say, qualification time for something. And that was very much the first 2 waves. Everything after that was respectfully justified. There was nobody there that was going to do this, that, and the other, and it was, and the streets are so big that, you could up or down waves depending on your comfort level. And it was respectful in a way. It was common sense, and I actually really enjoyed it. I really liked that part of it. And most people did stick in the way because they're going with their pace and balloons, and but then
they got their set goals and stuff like that.
100%. Yeah. So it was very good. But kilometer 4, I found myself isolated, and I thought it was, I don't know if Barcelona planned some sort of street performer. But I seen him in the middle of the street and dancing and shouting and having a great time and wishing everybody well. And then he turned. He was facing the runners, if that makes sense, And then he turned around, and it was like a second sunrise. His arse was out.
What I ask.
And I was like, what the hell is going on here? So I looked around. There was only 1 or 2 around me, and I was like, this could be an elbow drop here. This could be an L shoulder to the face for this fella if he comes near me. and I was fresh at the time. So it was 4K. I was like, right, if I hit him, this is this is the end of it. But if he comes at me with this, but it got worse. He turns around and he starts wiping his bum
Ah,
and then throwing at people. I was like, oh my God. Now, I was cute enough. I hit the footpath. I could see things progressing fairly quickly, so I gave it a wide berth. But the best part was, as he was doing it, it was very encouraging. He was like, "Vamos, let's go!" So, and I was the only one to have seen it,
Hmm.
which was worrying. But look, you can't control some excited spectators, I suppose. So you can't really put that. But it led for a very funny story last night around a couple of beers.
Switch, yeah. Just everyone's like, "What's going? Are you sure this happens?" Or he delirious. Like Eric's more just the heat. The rest was he wasn't delirious. The heat. But talking about spectators and definitely switching gears off that for the first 10 to 15K, because me and Munro disagreed in this one. I thought they hadn't, not that the crowd is supposed to wake up for you or anything like that, but I just thought I was going through crowds and it was very quiet. Now, what I will say is like those that were doing like the drums and different kind of set pieces or whatever it was in the corners, that was class. That was really cool. It's very unique to Barcelona. Well, from what I can see compared to the few other marathons I've done, and that was deadly at that point. But like in between, they're going through bits, especially the first 15K. Like I remember I seen Neve and like we were having a full blown conversation, like, 30, 40 meters away from each other. And there was crowds of people and I could hear her and she could hear me. And I was like, you know, I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling that the crowds kind of
For the
thing. But
quantity of
Monroe said he loved
people,
it.
well, for the
Yeah.
quantity of people that was standing there, it wasn't what you would expect.
No. When we saw the Irish people, like, they the flags waving and you get that little bump. But I felt like you need like a Gary Reinhardt, and the guy escapes my name who was pacing at the end of the Dundee 50K for 5 hours. Just someone could roar and keep shouting, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I find more people do that in Dublin as well. There's groups of people in pace and all the rest. They kind of roar at the crowd. And not that we need much, they need much help in Dublin to start cheering people on or the cowbells and all the rest. But at the first 15, it felt very quiet, and I felt like I was just doing it. Like the crowd was there, like seeing it was cool, but they're just all on the phones. I just felt like I was.
It
Doing a
was very
training
much
run.
a spectator sport.
Yeah,
As in they weren't, because it always is the second person in your race is the spectators, but they were just spectating. They weren't in the race, or they were just waiting for that one person, looking through the phones. And I had a theory on this as we talked about it, that a lot of people, and because running is so new, a lot of people are taking on their first marathons.
okay.
And those people who are coming to support them are also at their first marathon. They haven't
Right.
experienced a Dublin. They haven't experienced etiquette, like don't run in front of runners, which happened quite a lot.
That's another thing you need to talk about. Yeah.
So, like I do think there was an element of lack of exposure to what a marathon crowd is, because there was year on year an extra 5,000 runners this year in this race and sold out. So and you'd like to imagine with the success of running and how many people are getting in, and when you look at even Dublin for this year, the priority being on first time runners, that changes things, because people who are supporting them for the first time might not have been at a finish line of a marathon or at it, whereas we've ran in and been at, and we kind of know what people are looking for. So there's an element of that to it as well. But I did notice, like you said, where it was prescribed, it was great buzz. If you were with a flag, there was such a wave that you yourself were, the crowd, because when the flags came past me, it was like, oh my God, there was just so many people and singing, and someone would have a speaker, it was his own entertainment. But I would agree, but I would look at it from that perspective of people didn't know, because when I was at the finish line, we'll explain how I got there first, but I was the one seeing the name or seeing them struggle, seeing the name, because I went to the back corner because I really enjoyed watching people break when they turn and they see the balloon.
And you think that's the
and you
finish,
think the finish line, and then I'm like 400 meters to go, and they're like, what? So yeah, it was good to see in that sense, but no one else around me. One guy, he was sitting there was kind of like a street cafe type thing. We were sitting there, and my mom was sitting in front of him, and he was like, would you mind moving? You're in my way. And I was like, huh? So my mom got up and moved, and I was like, He said, what now?
Ah.
So I went over and stood there. So perspective, he's sitting angled towards the race, nothing in his view. And I'm standing like side on. So if he's trying to look at the bum of a runner who's gone past him, he won't see it because I'm standing there.
Yeah.
And he does the same thing. Now, he hasn't clapped for a single person. He
I
hasn't.
was just sitting there.
Yeah. And then he taps me. Excuse me, would you mind moving out of the way? I was like, why are these VIP seats? I was like, who are you cheering for? I haven't heard you shout at all. Where you at the 30,000 people here and you're the quietest one here? And anyway, I was having none of it after he moved my mum who was sitting in front of him on the curb trying to get a break. But it just again highlighted that the spectators were just spectating.
Yeah.
You know, it was. But in fairness, there was points at that finish line that were really good, and there was pockets of really. But
There was
I did
pockets
notice.
of great stuff.
I did
and
notice
then-
runners like, come on,
Yeah.
you know, it was probably quiet, but I know myself, I lost my voice from screaming at people I didn't know because I know what it's like. You
Yeah.
can see the ones who are like, please get me to the finish line and counting down the miles and just doing your best to try and help them.
There was cool Tour de France kind of spots where it did narrow and stuff like that, but that also brought the other problem of people constantly cross shit. I got lucky for the most part. I never really got close to people. We did have people from the group that were like bouncing off people and all the rest. One girl nearly ran into a person with a buggy and everything like during it. I was like,
She did. She has a cut to prove it.
oh Jesus.
Yeah.
So a lot of that happened with Dublin. You've got the one big loop, so you don't see that too much. Whereas Barcelona, like I'd say radius wise, maybe I'm wrong, but I'd say it's maybe 6-7 kilometers max you go out because it's all zigzag and stuff like that. You're never really that far away from the city, which I think mentally is a little. I find a little bit easier than you're like if you're in Castleknock. Jeez, we get out to UCD back around. Like mentally, even though you're doing the same distance, obviously.
Yeah.
Mentally,
You never
I find
cross
that.
yourself.
So
Yeah.
around 19K, I see Neve and I'm talking to her for around 30 seconds as she's getting my gels and some sort of paprika orange drink that has a small bit of caffeine that I thought had a lot more. Like a sip on that, and I'm constantly looking back and I'm like, this is the third time I've stopped. I've stopped for well over a minute here and just having a chat and on my way and I'm about to pass the halfway mark of 157 and I'm like, Eric's going to start catching me now, and I'm after something a few times, and I've done many a marathon where I've hit nearly 2 hours in that the first half, and I'm like, well, the second half is going to be a lot worse. I'm looking at a 4:15 at this stage. I was thinking, what were you thinking at that stage? Were you getting close to?
Yeah, so I like the full belly and like that, it was just uncomfort, and I actually noticed my heart rate a little bit higher, and I knew why. It was just because the uncomfort of the food. But again, I was like, we'll be okay here. I was actually starting to get so comfortable. I actually video called Fish.
You never told me that.
Yeah, a video called him. I was like, man, don't know how this day is gonna go. But I tried to just show him a bit. He's stuck in Kuwait and all. And I was like, here, look at this, and showing him the tour of Barcelona because, like I said, there wasn't much action, I suppose, for want of a better word. And we had a little chat. I was like, starting to feel good, you know, and it was starting to settle in and tasting chicken wings and all that kind of stuff. We had a good giggle for 30 seconds and then I locked back into the race. And as I came through 14K, I was like, ooh, everything settled down. I was like, yes, this is where I come into my own. And then the pace came back up. My heart rate went to 136, so I wasn't even really working. I was like, I'm going to get Seán in the second half. I was like, this is it. And the temperatures are going to come up to my level. I was like, today is the day. And I started to increase the pace. And I was really, really settling in. And I was loving it. I genuinely, at this point, I was like, this is going to be a very good day for me.
And then
and then so that was 15K.
Yeah.
And we turned the corner and I'd increased the pace again. I really settled in. You turn onto a nice straight, and we know this because we brought everyone down to the Expo. So this is the point where familiarity, it's no different to the park at home in the Phoenix Park. When you know the parts of the course, it goes by like that. And I was like, sweet, 3K up to here, turning around. I'll be hitting the half mark and then it's hunting time. Because I knew I wasn't far because everyone said, oh, they're just up ahead. So I was like, but I was settling. And then I was like, right, I'm going to drop this to a 5:30, 5:20 pace and I'm going to pass them out. And then it's just a race. Even if I die, at least just passing you, it might break you.
You absolutely would have at that stage.
So, but at 17K, what we thought was a glitch in the matrix on the Hoka run. My knee went sideways to the left, and not like don't like when you go sideways on your ankle. It just went whoop, little buckle, and I was like, oh,
That's not right.
and then the twins came afterwards, and then I was like, oh no, and I felt this before, and now you've been with me as I've tried to recover from this injury before with the old runner's knee, but the tendon on the side, I was just feeling it, and I was like, listen, relax. Now at this point, I was already very sorry I chose the vapor foot because I was planning, like, I'll speed up, it might give me a dig out, whatever. I was even thinking, because we were running past the hotel, I was like, look, if it's really bad, maybe we'll just change the shoes. I'll drop the 5 minutes, go in and get my other runners on and come back out again. And then 500 meters later, it was getting a little bit worse, and you're like, no, it's all in your head. Just keep going. You'll be fine. Got through 18K, 19K, seeing everyone like, oh, the lads are just up ahead. And I was like, yeah, went round the corner. By the time I did an extra 2.5K, and I was starting my left leg. I was running with a straight, and kind of swinging it around like Forrest Gump with his braces on. And I had a chat with myself. I was like, can you do this for 22 more kilometers?
You're not even halfway yet.
And you're not even at the halfway mark. And I was like, I don't think so. So I started taking the pins out, but I was, even at this point, I wasn't even, and the annoying part was I wasn't even sweating. Under my armpits were dry. I was feeling really good. My heart rate was still 140, and I was getting ready to just hunt you down. So I started unclipping the pins out of me, because I was like going for the Declan Moffat into the ditch here, and didn't want to be seen. I started unclipping the race number off me, and with that, Jamie, who was on our group, came past me from the wave behind and gave me a slap in the arse, like, well, bud, yeah. And I was like, nah, Jamie, bad timing, but I'm pulling the ejection handle here. And he was like, oh, you big loser, and just off he went. And he said something along those lines, and by the time I got the 4 pin out, as soon as I seen a bin, I just race number, bin, and just started walking, because that was it. Because if I just got rid of the race number, the decision was made.
Yeah. Not to go too deep into that then, but what was that feeling of just throwing that in and just... I've DNF plenty of race before, but
that's the first marathon I haven't finished. Yeah, look, it wasn't nice, but it was also deserved. I hadn't done the training. The most annoying part was the shoes. And you've said this before in the podcast as well. I sat on my bed and I went, why am I wearing these? Will I not just wear the Hokas I've been running 22s and 25Ks in, really, really comfortable? And I was like, yeah, but these are the race shoes, and the marketing got the better of me, the 10% less, and your calves don't feel it as much. And I was like, it's a cheat code, Yeah. And that was the bit that annoyed me. I was like, had I just, now, from what we seen on the treadmill the day before, it probably would have happened at 30K or 35K, but at least then
you might hobble
5K from home.
You might walk or something. There. Yeah,
you can't do that at 19.
No.
And I look at side story. I just passed Neve. I was like, they're just up ahead, and I was like, yeah. Minute later, I'm like, oh, Neve. What the fuck? I was like, yeah, that's over. And I walked down, because I ran past my mum. My mum was down a little bit, and I walked down to her, and I was standing there, and I was like, so she was like, oh, you're finished already? I just ran past her 5 minutes ago, and I was like, what? I'm done. I pulled out of the race. But went to the shower, and thought number one as I was unpinning was, these fuckers are gonna abuse the shit out of me. And in fairness, I do dish it out, so I was expecting it both barrels, and I did. You
got a bit of it last night, all right?
I did get it.
Memes and all were coming up. Yeah.
AI is a hell of a drug. But it's that was one factor. The fact we run a podcast was playing in my head, but then I was like, it had just started, and I know with this, if you stop and you do the right things, you're back at it in a couple of days. You're back at it in a week. If you don't, you're gone for 6 weeks, and then it's a recurring, and then it can lead into 2 months. It was horrible to stop, but I also deserved it, and I think it was probably a marathon's way of telling me to cop on. And in the shower, I had a good chat with myself about what the realities of it, because to see yous finish and not finish, that was delighted for everyone. Don't get me wrong. This
Yeah.
is a marathon trip that I have brought people to. We had 34 runners, and I was the only one that didn't get across the line. And so for me, this is a fantastic weekend, successful weekend. It's not about me, although we do the podcast. It's not about you. It's about everyone else that comes with
Absolutely,
us.
yeah.
But it was a case of you have to stop this crack of just showing up and doing marathons, and it was a little bit bittersweet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll be able to train next week once I do a little bit of work on this, get some needling done, and I already know all the things that have to be done. So in a week's time, I'll be back and build for the next one rather than not being able to do anything for 6 weeks and worrying about it.
You made as tough as it was, you made the right decision. Like if that is later on the race, you can kind of brave it out and start worrying later. And all
if
the
you're
rest,
through
but
30k, sure, you have to walk back anyway.
yeah,
But when
19,
you're not even through half, it's
if you
what are
start
you
feeling
doing?
issues like that at 19 and your knees got all over the shop, and you know it's not going to be great, and it wasn't because the lack of training and stuff you had. It wasn't an A race for you this year. You've talked
No.
about triathlons and all the rest. It's like, you know what? Have enough medals. I'll pull out and just enjoy it, and then work towards the next one. And it was a good day then anyway for you.
Yeah, so that was it. But I was, like we'll
still
leave it till the
stings.
next one. It still stings.
still stings.
And having felt so good, and then I knew at some point the wheels would come off. But if I could just catch you and pass you, it would have made it interesting.
It would have broke me. Had
So-
you passed me,
And
just
to
like
be
done
fair
shot
to
me, it
you
would
and
have broke me.
Munro, you're usually too far ahead. So I just felt like this was the chance to just mess with your heads, get close enough to wind you up and see who breaks, and I missed the bit that hurt me the most was I missed that element of that bit of banter together,
Yeah.
that bit of a race together. And that's the bit that hurts me the most. Not the stopping the DNA. I couldn't
it was crack because it would have been interesting because a half that was at my lowest point was the half, seeing 157 go by, because in my head, because right from the get-go in Barcelona, because the buildings and stuff, and I've had a few podcasts talk about this, where like even the first kilometer went off in the watch, I was still the best part of 100 meters away for 1 kilometer thing. So when I got near the halfway point, when it's at 21.1, I was like, oh, I've 10 minutes. So I was 155 on the watch, and I was like, oh, I have 2:05 to do the second half to get into 4. But then when I actually passed the marker, that was down to 157 and a half. I was like, oh, I've only got 7.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes I lost in the space of 2.5 minutes. And I'm like, I'm in trouble here. So, and I was in a bad way, and I was sipping away me paprika and all the rest. And I'm like, well, maybe it's maybe it's a 4:15 for me today. And look, it is what it is. I wasn't going to be too distraught about that. And I already told people I go hard the first half and the wheels would fall off. And I hadn't gone hard the first half and the wheels were still falling off. And I was like, if air catches me here, that will break me, because I know I won't have it. It's kind of like we've talked before about the pacing balloons. You're always ahead of that pacing balloon. But if you're not near the finish and that balloon passes you out, it's just, where am I going to have it in me to catch that balloon again? It's just wave goodbye to it.
Just as you said it there, I stopped at 19.73 and an average of 5:49, but my last 3.5k were at a 6:40 pace because my knee, I was trying to just give it a chance to recover.
Yeah.
So I would have been catching you at the halfway mark.
You wouldn't be far
kept
away,
going. Yeah. So it's that alone is a kicker. It was a bit annoying.
You're probably less than a kilometer behind me.
Oh, 100%. I would have, because the streets are so straight, I would have began to see.
And that would have gave you life. Seeing
Yeah.
And it would have been just, and we've said before, the marathon, so much of it is mental.
But the marathon here, you come through the halfway. Now, this is all from memory because I didn't live this experience. You come down a beautiful marina.
Yeah.
Fantastic old buildings, and you make your way out to what we call it the Coast Road from around 24k. Every one of our runners have said at that point, I think you're the only one, and we'll go into it now, all of our runners suffered from there to the finish line, except for you.
It was the first day of summer.
Must have been the paprika.
The paprika kicked in, and all of a sudden I had adapted to the heat and I felt alive. So, like, I'd seen people playing football and the astronaut stuff and just the beach. It was like, this felt like the first day of summer. It felt great. But just before that, it was 23, 24, and I'd settled in then. I was still hitting 5:30s. I was expecting to drop down to 6 any stage, and I'd stopped looking at the watch. I was just arm powering and all the rest, and I'd stopped looking at it, and then I was like, oh, I'm 5:30, I'm 5:25, and I'm feeling okay. And we got to the 25k, and we take that right. There's this big hoka kind of set up there, and Justin Timberlake's Mirrors is playing. And not even a great buzz Justin Timberlake song, but I was feeling, I was like, this is good. And I started coming down the hill and heading towards the arena, and the sun's out. I'm not feeling too hot, thanks to you and that new that
The new
racing
sleeveless.
the new sleeveless I had for that one. I was like,
The
oh,
old singlet.
I'm feeling great. And that was the first time a thought came through my head. What if you did a negative split? And I'm like, I'm the guy that blows up in the first half and dies the second half. If there's one thing I'm pretty sure I've said this to the podcast, there's one thing I'm never going to do is a negative split. I'm going to take off too hot, hang on for dear life. And I was like, but what if? And all of a sudden I had something to race for, because getting under 4, not getting under 4, it
Didn't matter.
it didn't matter.
Nah.
It'd be nice, but didn't matter. I'm like, last year I got 3:30 here, but I was like, what if I could do that? So going down that marina, and then just the perform gel every 5K, and just I was like, I'd stopped needing to go to the toilet. I had too much water and stuff beforehand, so I'd had that all under control. And I'm like, I'm feeling really
But
good.
credit to you. I know you had to stop to go to the toilet twice, but with the temperatures, that paid dividends.
Oh yeah, it did have that. Yeah, because I just felt hydrated and stuff. I never felt dehydrated in the race. It was the first time, even more so than last year, where I was faster last year, where the nutritional all was right, and I was just feeling really good. And then, speaking to Jamie earlier, I saw him around 31, and I wasn't even thinking about you at this stage, because I was just like, negative splits on. Even if you passed me, I was like, if I get a negative split, it would sting a bit, but I'm like, if I can do this is phenomenal. And he passed me. He's like, Eric pulled out, knees at him. I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, oh, hey. And then he's like, what are you doing here? Joe from the group as well asked me around 16, 70K in. I must have hit, I'm going through a water station. He's like, no, hi, hello, how are you? He goes, what pace are you doing? I looked, 5:10. Bollocks. It's like they're doubling all over again. But I saw Jamie, and then he just goes, we're talking a little bit. I was like, Jamie, I have to shut up now, because I'm going to lose my energy here, and I've got a goal in mind. He just goes, are we going 5-kilometer splits? I go, I'm going to hang with you as long as I can. And even saying that, I'm like, Seán, you could ruin your race here doing this. But I was like, feck it. Just the idea of the negative was like, let's go. It gave me a new lease of life. And it was the first time, because we had started so high up in the waves, and people were constantly, not by fast passes out.
No,
as in,
but
like,
they were passing.
yeah, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
passing us. That was the first time I was like, I started to pass a few people. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
okay, this is on. And I was thinking, there's a long straight up, and you turn back on yourself down. So if I can get that 35K mark and feel somewhat okay, I'll just keep on hanging on. And of course, near there, as with every mark, no matter how good you're feeling, hamstrings feeling a bit, the pull back, calves feeling a bit. The Achilles was constantly a 2 or 3 out of 10 pain the whole way through. And I was like, fuck it. For the negative split, for the story, I had to post them all in mine. I was like, they had us in the first half, not going to lie.
I had what I was saying to you when I passed you in my head.
Yeah,
I swear. I was ready for it.
But just and just hung on for dear life, and thankfully got through. And there's a few people waving over us, a few spare mics, guys. You want to come on? No, they're walking out the door.
Cowards.
That's one of the girls there, Janice. She's doing London in a few weeks' time, and her coach was like, just take it easy on this and see what happens. And the airport was like, send it, because of the first 30K you feel great, okay, I'll pull back near the end. And then it's like, you probably shouldn't take advice from me in this one, but at least you know your race pace then for London. So, but she seemed to get on great and enjoyed herself on it, as did most of actually all the crew seemed to enjoy themselves afterwards. But long story short, my end, just hung on, kept going. I had my fastest 5K between 30 and 35, back down to 5:10 paces. And I was like, I'm going to see Eric near the finish. I'm going to see him near the finish. And then I was like, I knew I'd shock Neve as well, because Neve saw me. She hadn't even the phone out to record nothing. She's just like, what's he doing here at this time? Because she knew pace-wise I was going to be slower, or so she thought. And then you could see you reaching for the phone, trying to get the video and all in. I was gone. But even that long, I seen you. Energy and all was up there. Coming down near the end, you're going downhill, you got 400 meters to go, and it's just so quiet. Could hear a pin drop. And of course, always emotional stuff near the end. So I was roaring and the hands up, and all of a sudden, like, so much so long, almost got me out of breath. I was like, right, I'll give another,
just keep jogging.
I'll give another 30, 40 seconds before I do that again. And then I did it again. And then, like, this is the one part Munro agreed with me on. The very end, you get under the arch. Some people actually stopped at the arch, and you have to go on a little bit further to get the thing. But there's like VIP seated
Yeah,
seats
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Oh man, I let a one more roar there, and I got crickets back, and I was like,
yeah.
because every time I did it, everyone started like it did
Yeah,
get that adrenaline buzz, and you're clapping and all the rest. I did it there, nothing. I felt like stopping. I kind of like, fuck each and every one of you, pointing at all of them. Nothing
yeah.
but
It's just
emotional
yeah,
finish.
and that is why, and we always say, look, fantastic man, very different. I know
Mm.
I would have said the year before the crowds are good,
Yeah, agreed.
uh, and that is why Dublin is a very different marathon.
Yeah.
It does have that the clappers, the whole lot, the noise, the crowds, especially when the balloons come through. It's amazing to be a
Mm.
part of, but nonetheless, the size of the streets, the space you
Ah, it's
have.
so much more
There
space.
are
Yeah.
parts of it, even though the streets are so wide, where it closes in like the Tour de France. You're running through
Yeah.
crowds so close and stuff. It is, in some ways, really cool.
That's really cool. But like I said earlier, especially coming up there, there's I wouldn't say a big hill at 40. It's like a pull going up that probably feels like a big hill for you when you're at 40K in.
Yeah,
That gets really close, but you're constantly seeing people still pass over and back,
yeah.
and like you're in a different state of mind. Not that I do this, so I wasn't
You
running
can't
40K, but
stop.
like
You can't
can't
slow
stop.
down. You
Yeah,
can't change direction at that
exactly.
stage. Yeah.
It's like I'll drop a shoulder.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had that in the 4K, as you know.
Yeah.
So I was well versed, but it was, but a good medal, a
Yeah.
great finish line.
Ah,
Like
the finish
running
line's
through that
brilliant. Yeah, it
arch is
is.
fantastic. It really, really is.
There was a
Uh,
guy beside me. I was at Barcade, and I was like, just negative split. I just couldn't believe it. Like I was like, this is unbelievable. And that guy there,
and
he
then
was
you were
Barcade.
wondering, you were giving me abuse last year for saying I got a negative split.
Ah, no, this is different.
Sure, if you ran faster in the first half, you would have been able to
No,
do a negative split.
exactly. I would have been a heap. But then there was a guy. He was crying and all, and I was talking to him. He was talking to me, and
Both these are crying.
both of us crying, hugging, whatever, fair play, whatever. And he was saying whatever he was saying, and wasn't the same language, but we
Yeah,
understood each other. But we were
yeah,
speaking
yeah,
different
yeah.
languages. We were having a full blown conversation, but we knew what the other person was saying. I was like, it was nice, and you were seeing that all around, and just everyone seemed very happy, and the weather and all. It's just that finish line is it is. I know I've said a few negative things about crowd hype and stuff like that, but no matter what finish line you go through, you're always going to feel it for marathon. But under the arch, the sun out, especially the Saturday we had, how rain and shitty weather we had, it just seemed to just everything just peaked at the right time, and it is a great race. It's a great race. I do think it's an easier marathon than Dublin.
It is an easier marathon. Yeah, it is. Even though when you turn, like you're looking to what I like about it and what people hate about it, when you turn a corner, you can see you can see 5K. You can
Yeah,
see,
I
geez, we're
like that.
going down to the end of this road. I love it. But you'll see that it rises.
Mm.
So you think you're running uphill, but in fact, it's only probably 7 meters of elevation
So
over
hell, yeah.
5K or so. You know, it looks like you're running up, but you're, geez, you'd be
There's
shot if you called it a hill at home.
very few hills. I think there's one near the start, 2-3K in. Turning left up a hill there. But apart from that, there's a few after the bridge. I think there's a little bit of a climb, like the pulls. I call them pulls. Don't
Yeah,
call them hills.
yeah.
Especially
Mm.
compared to Dublin, I don't call them that. And the legs, obviously, they feel like they've run a marathon, but nothing compared to what I felt in Dublin a couple of months ago. I just think there's Dublin so much up and down that I personally feel it a lot more. Like even today, I'm walking around somewhat okay, where I wasn't like that last
Normally
year.
you don't do that, yeah.
Mm.
But look, it's what I will say is no matter where you do it, a marathon is full of
Yeah.
moments. You will do 42.2 kilometers. You won't remember 35 of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's full of moments, good, bad, or indifferent. And we're telling you a story from two people's moments. And I've only got, as I've said, not even half,
Mm. 19.
19.75 kilometers of moments. And for me, some lessons. And that's what I think is so good about running. And that's what I
Mm.
think about a trip away with the fantastic people we've had with us, because we're sharing a moment. We're
Yeah.
sharing several moments and with a common goal, good, bad, and different. And that's what makes the sport so good. Groups so good. And I say the same for triathlon as well, because you're with people who are trying to achieve the same thing, and everyone's having a very individual experience.
Yep.
But together you share the feeling of those magic moments and those different moments and the understanding behind it. And that's why when you see people come to that finish line, whatever they've been going through, whatever they've been thinking, struggling, they get there, and it's just that feeling of we did it again for whatever reason, and it's magic. It is magic, and that's why these trips I love for them.
It's class.
It's
Like,
amazing.
the timing, the times people finishing is so individual to them, because you're hearing their stories and stuff beforehand. Want to get sub 4, want to get Boston qualifier.
Want to do my first
Want
marathon.
to do my first marathon.
Yeah.
And like, even if you told me after recording this last year, well, you're going to come back to Barcelona, you're going to do a 350, you'd be like, everything's gone to shit after getting a 330. But I'm just as proud of the 350 and what I did yesterday as I was last year getting a 330 with everything else go around it. So like, each one brings its own challenges, its own things coming around it, and it's just class. We got one of the boys coming over. I see Munro. We'll grab a mic. Will Munro grab a mic and hop on for a couple of seconds, talk about your trips? No, he's a
50
jump
minutes.
on there. I get 5 minutes in. Munro, grab that top mic there, because we're talking on one stage. Me and you had a discussion yesterday
Morning.
about
I didn't see you at breakfast. What happened?
I was there before you.
You wearing your shit? You was there for 2 hours drinking mimosas.
I went and had a bath.
we had a different experience in terms of the crowds.
Yeah, I talked to the crowd.
50 minutes I've been shitting on it, and you come on and say the crowds. Yeah.
I felt a lot of support, and I felt the crowd were giving plenty to the athletes, and like that there was one or two areas at some of the big crossovers and the junctions that were quiet, but not for the most part. No, not on the level of Dublin, but
Yeah.
much is.
Now, in fairness, he didn't look in right mind from 30k on.
Were
Because
they-
I was screaming at him, and he didn't even know I was there. And I'm not exactly a quiet man or a small
No,
person.
but I've learned how to blank you out.
We've all tried that, right? Well, the logical conclusion is then the crowd were just intimidated by the size of my arms. That must be it. I asked me
And
what
never
happened
getting
there.
you a sleeveless
was
again.
That's
Any
what they say, right?
given
That's what
gun
it
day.
But Mon, you did, and we've covered the race up until that point of that 30k. We've talked about the race we thought we were all having, and turns out I was in the shower and eating a McDonald's. You're racing yourself.
At the same
Do you know
time.
what? I'm very happy that just the fear of knowing I'm in the race kept you fuckers on your toes.
It did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when the wheels started to come off just after 30k, I was kind of like walk, jog, and there's definitely head was on a bit of a swivel. I was like, where's that big lip?
Me's there, McDonald's eating a chicken burger going, fuckers.
So, yeah, I don't know if it would have snuck in under the four if I knew earlier that you had already peeled off and gone for chicken wings.
When did you find out he was gone?
With about 3k to go when Jamie caught me.
Jeez, Jamie was running faster than everyone.
He
you were
was
gone.
running it, yeah. He got a PB going, Eric's dead. Eric's dead. Ringing the bell.
I've got some AI memes for him tonight.
Yeah.
He came
Excellent.
up alongside me and he's like, all right, Munro, how are you getting on? And I was like, oh, I'm struggling. He's like, yeah, me too. Now, he looked in good nick at that stage. He was cruising along. And yeah, he just kind of went, Eric's gone. I was like, what do you mean? As in he's gone ahead? Or, he went. Like, right. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
then you
what I
started
thought.
walking.
Mhm.
Look,
This
at
is
least
grand.
I played my role, and that's
You did.
I played a role for at least 40k for Munro,
Yeah.
about 30 for you. But all in all, Mun, we were talking to most of our runners, and we can't put our finger on it. And maybe it's because we've had a winter training session and we got a first bit of sunshine. But after 25k, most people said they were counting the kilometers.
Yeah, it was tough. Like when you were in the heart of the city and you had that little bit of shade from the buildings and sort of the crowd as well, I won't say it was easy,
It
but
was
you
lovely.
were in control
Yeah.
and you weren't getting that full exposure of the heat. But when you came out of the city and you went down onto the seafront and down towards Time Out and where the shipyards are and everything like that, it's gorgeous and it'd be lovely to go down there for coffee and an ice cream and everything like that. But you're 8 or 10k in one direction, getting scalded on one side, and then they spin you around the roundabout. And you get burnt equally as much on the
At
other
least you're
side.
cooked evenly on both
exactly.
sides.
That's
So,
nice.
but you are sort of 40, 45 minutes and you were just sheer exposed. And like, again, better that than what we had the day before with the rain and getting ripped out of it that way. But
True.
about 15 minutes after that, and you got back into a little bit of shade, that's when I felt the body kind of going, that exposure to the sun and that level of heat was really starting to kick in. And like I took water at every spot and I had my gels and everything like that. But yeah, it was that sheer exposure to the heat was full on.
Yeah.
They were grabbing the water. They seemed like every
2.5K. After 5K, every 2.5 to 3K, there was a station.
You weren't
With-
worried about it. And a lot
Yeah.
of different gel stops as well, actually,
Yep.
whatever that was. So-
Gels, isotonics,
yeah.
electrolytes, water.
I saw one lad at I did a final. You wouldn't have seen this, Eric.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
About
yeah.
2K to go. They had a final gel stop.
Yeah.
And I'd say there was a guy stocking up for the season because he just stuck his paw into the box and took about 50 of them and was lashing them down the front of his
Yeah, right. I did the same.
Listen,
And
next
Jamie won't let me mention it. I did a race in Portugal once, and Morton was the sponsor. On the last station, give me them.
Yeah.
350 a sachet. I brought home about 2 years worth. But it was overall great race. You have two different perspectives on the crowds and stuff. For me, I can actually.
The amount of Irish support was unreal.
Oh,
that
it was
great.
amazing.
Yeah, every time I saw the
Yeah.
tricolour,
Yeah,
that was great to see.
Yeah. I saw a couple of people rocking Roscommon jerseys and then a Kerry jersey as well. So I like that. I just let her roar at them. I was like, "Go on, Kerry." I was like, "Oh, yeah, boy."
Yeah. Oh yeah, as soon as you got that from the Irish part of it, and it sounds like I'm being whatever it's biased towards Irish people, like that you got that buzz and stuff.
Absolutely.
I just saw the rest of it was just constantly on the phones looking for the person, and that's it.
Yeah.
We did agree in the very end though with the after the arch, where all the guys sitting down there, and you got. I was telling Eric in the podcast, was just kind of like,
Oh yeah, because I
let
wouldn't
her
know.
roar.
Yeah,
You wouldn't
yeah,
know. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
like they were
yeah,
sitting-
yeah.
Yeah,
know,
like the
the-
bleacher stands either side.
Yeah.
The close-
Is that what's there? Is it? I
Yeah.
never got that far in the race.
The closest Eric got to the arch was the arch in the back of the Any Given Runday t-shirt. That's the closest he got to it.
Still have the finisher's t-shirt I collected the day before, so it's all right.
Yeah, but like that when you came onto the blue carpet and everything like that, you had good, again, sort of like Tour de France style, like the crowd were giving it loads and sort of you were running up the middle of it. But then you a little bit further up the blue carpet and had these cool bleacher stands either side. But there was nothing out of the crowd there.
No.
They were in the posh seats. And
Yeah.
I don't, maybe they were sort of heat stroke or something. But
They were useless.
they were just sitting there.
Give me one last buzz in the
But
marathon.
overall, Munro, travelling away with a group to a foreign marathon, how was this experience for you as a whole?
It's been amazing, and credit to you two boys and to the podcast and the organisation. From rocking up to the airport in Dublin, it's just been seamless. There's been plenty of information. I know from talking to the lads last night, one in particular sort of says, "I don't care where the lads are going next year, I'm going." And he said he's texted his running group and his buddies that he would run with at home,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe we missed out on the trip. It looks like a
Bloody-
belter and everything like that." So no, it's been brilliant. It's been absolutely class. The experience of having done it last year as well, getting to the Expo that little bit sharper,
Yeah.
like an hour in the difference, and like we'd be scuppered. Like Perfran was standing an hour 20 minutes in the rain. So
And that was a big element. It's one thing if you're standing in the sun and drinking water, but standing in the lashings,
rain,
it wasn't just, it was
he didn't
heavy,
dry
heavy
out
rain.
the day.
He didn't dry. Every time he left the house, it started raining.
So again, having that little bit of knowledge, the hotel here were class, and it was very,
Look after
very
you, I say.
easy just to walk on down to the start line, jump into your corral, and just go. Like very, very few races do you have that level of access, and now the streets lend itself to the huge numbers. But I was not like the pink wave that was going off. I think there's 2 waves after the blue one, so 20 minutes after us. That whole side street was chockers ready to go 20 minutes before the blue one went off. So people were playing ball and getting to their waves sharp and on time. And like ours, like when we got cavalcaded up to the front and everything like that, like our wave went off at 8:50 in like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely class. The guys singing live,
Oh,
Barcelona.
yeah.
So
Like,
good.
made
if you
goosebumps.
if you can't get fired up with that,
Yeah.
and then the choir on the opposite side as well.
Yeah.
Just
And we just said it was at that point nerves turned to excitement.
Yeah, big
And
time.
that is a magic touch that people don't give credit for on that hype.
Yeah.
Is you're nervous, you might even be sweating, or and then that happens, you're like,
I'm
this is
here.
it.
I'm ready for
Yeah,
it. Oh, well,
yeah.
not ready for it. But
not ready. I'm here.
It is a great start. It is a great start. So Munro, if it was put down to you then for next year, what would you do? Where would you go? Any races, any European races, or would you do a half? Would you do a full? It has to be a full. Or what way would you think about it? If Eric said, "Nah, I'm putting that decision to Munro," I'll put him on the spot here, Eric.
Well, I might give the decision to Munro.
The like a marathon is special, and it does give you that level of like
seriousness.
it is, and
because it's a big undertaking.
It's a big commitment. It's there's a family commitment, there's a financial commitment, there's a time commitment to it. So it is a great carrot to work towards. But not everyone does a marathon. Not everyone can do a marathon, and a 5K could be someone else's marathon.
Yeah.
So there is that element of running is for everyone. Every pace has a place and all that kind of stuff. But having it open to everyone, there is definitely something to be said for having a 10, a half, and a full. Like if you can do it all on the same
and
day.
19 as well, of course.
19.75, I'll have you know.
I think this year in particular, the training block has been quite difficult in Ireland.
Yeah.
Like January and February were just muck. So getting that big mileage up, the short evenings or the no evenings really, if people are working, if they're not getting out before work, they're struggling. You're seeing people's Strava and things like that. The miles just weren't there for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It is one to think, like when you look at the race calendar, some good ones in May, June, which gives people Christmas and then
a bit
leeway
of time,
in January, and then you're like, okay, I can start my training block. There's fantastic races September, October, November, but unfortunately for us, there's such a tie-in to the Dublin Marathon.
But that's the lovely thing about like a May or even an early June one, that it gives people enough time to build in half decent weather and then take a few weeks off or a month off or something like that, and then go, okay, how's the body feeling? Do I want to build again for Dublin?
Yeah.
So you're able to tick the boxes, and like that, there's a lot of like the 5Ks and the 10Ks and things like that are local. Like our own Lusk 4 mile was a couple of weeks ago, and if you can start incorporating them into the build for a race that's away, or like there's a Lusk 4 mile, the Skerries 10K was yesterday, and savage numbers, 900 people around that yesterday.
That's wow.
And I'm loving this as well with some of the local races at the moment. They're incorporating the kiddie races as well on the same day. So like at our race, we were just like the under 8s did a 400-meter lap of the green.
Deadly.
So boys and girls, then there was under 12s, and then the under 16s go out, boys and girls together, and then the 4 mile as a full one for everyone. And the Skerries did the same yesterday as well. So all the junior athletics kids that are training and that their parents are organising the race.
Well, they've got something to they've got something
to do. And it's great to see, like, and they're going and their arms are flying, like, and they're just there because it's good crack and they're staying healthy and they're out and not on the iPads.
And again, it's you as a parent training for a marathon, and you go, well, look, it's a good excuse. I can get a bit in, I can get a run in, we can drop to him, get that 400 meters in there. You know, like you tired them out, and everyone's a winner, I suppose, at the end. And that's what we love about it. And what we can see, we even had a couple of the kiddies with us on this group tour who, to be fair to them all, forgot they were here. Forgot they were here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was absolutely brilliant. And it just shows you that trips like this, it's all about community, family, accommodating people, trying to achieve a goal. And I have to say, the fun, it's always, everyone's a little bit, who are they? And do they know? As soon as you do a marathon together and add in a my waddy or a beer,
it doesn't matter.
And
that's
crack.
the thing about, like, you instantly have something in commman with the person standing behind you. You're kind of, right, we're in there.
I don't. I have nothing in common with you superior people.
Last night was great crack down. We're all just sitting around the table.
It's great crack because you're all abusing me, you shower up.
You got a lot of views last night. I kind of wish I had the mics downstairs and started throwing at people. It would have been an entirely different podcast.
I do dish it, and I do deserve it. So I will take it. But
and to put a bow on the episode, because you brought it up a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, Eric, I do believe you owe this man a bucket of beer.
I do, and that is why I'm saying, Seán, I need to check out, because there's a bucket of beer with Munro's name on it, and I have to go and buy it.
We've recorded a lot of guests over the last couple of weeks. We're back to guests again next week, but it's great to have you again on the podcast,
Thanks,
Munro.
Guys, and thank you again for the trip.
And just on that, people thinking about next year's, we haven't decided on next year's, but we know that so many people want to travel away with us. Do keep an eye. We will mention it in the episode, so you're going to have to keep listening. It will also find some information on the website, anygivenrunday.com. If we do decide to go away, where, when, and the how will all be up there for you to be able to sign up.
And on that note, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. Sorry it comes out a little bit later today, but obviously understandable. From myself, Munro, and Eric, take care.